187, Detroit's homicide. You listen to Mike and Tyler. Time now. Órale, vida la loca.
People walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know I won't be listening long.
Well, we are live, pals. Welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approved, counted out with Mike and Adam this week. I am Adam Kota, joined by the hard Mike, as he just pointed out on the screen. Yes, we're going to keep that gag going.
We're making that a thing.
We didn't end up killing it last week, as we all hoped. Instead, it got more lives than a cat. So yes, Mike, you have welcomed me onto the show. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Tyler couldn't make it this week. You're always our go-to. It's a no-brainer for you to be the first person we ask. It's always a fun time having you on the show. I haven't seen you since Windsor, so what's been going on, man?
Just like all the pretty girls in high school, I'm the ever reliable backup plan. Yeah, man, a lot has been going on. Recently just came back from Timmins, did a great show with Rock Solid Wrestling there. Had a phenomenal time, as I always do with Rock Solid Wrestling. Other than that, from my personal life standpoint, things have been very busy working on a couple behind the scenes projects, which I can't really say a lot about right now, but you will definitely hear about it on Counted Out sooner rather than later. So let's just say life is busy and life is good. How about you, sir?
I'm glad you brought up Rock Solid. Why don't you tell us about that for a minute? Because we've been so focused on Barry Wrestling and Destiny Wrestling and a couple of the other locals. What's been going on at Rock Solid? I haven't been up to Rock Solid show. I don't know how long it's been, and I haven't seen any of those guys. I haven't seen Tornado, any of those guys for a very, very long time. So what's Rock Solid doing these days?
Well, 2022 was a big comeback year for Rock Solid. We started getting back into live events, and 2023 we're going strong, hitting some of our favorite local spots and adding a few more as well. We had some really great shows, like I said, just this past week in Timmins, and our next event is coming up June the 3rd in Collingwood, traditionally one of the biggest shows of the year. This is Wrestling Night in Collingwood 10, the 10th time that Rock Solid Wrestling has put on an event for Collingwood in support of the Special Olympics. A huge 10-man elimination style tag team match, Asher's Army versus Scotty the Body's Bod Squad. You've got 10 of the best in Rock Solid Wrestling. Trust me when I say there is not going to be an event or a match like this anywhere else in Ontario. You've really got to check it out. So check out all of Rock Solid Wrestling's social medias, as well as get your tickets online. You can actually get tickets for Rock Solid Wrestling events online now, which is really cool. We've actually got a website set up for that, and I'll give you the website here, rocksolidwrestling.ticket.ca, and that's ticket spelled TICKIT.ca. So it's the only thing that I say about Rock Solid Wrestling is that the guys who work the shows are too humble. They're just happy to be out there providing the best entertainment they possibly can, and that's all they really need. I tell them they got to pat themselves on the back a little bit more. So allow me to do that and say, if you don't know about Rock Solid Wrestling, you're missing out. Check them out if they're in a town near you, or do what one of our best listeners, Rob, does and get a whole car full of people and travel to the shows, because he's probably our number one diehard fan, and he's a great guy. Got me a Macho Man pint glass at Timmins and a Super Machine mask from Mark's Wrestling Mask as a thank you, because he's an amazing guy.
I also own a Roddy Piper pint glass, thanks to Rob. And a couple masks myself. Yeah, Rob is not only Rock Solid's biggest fan; he's Counted Out's biggest fan. He's what a guy, man. You gotta love Rob. We talk a lot about Ontario indie fans here on this show. We know a lot of great ones in our area. There's some was discussing that I haven't seen in a while, been watching out for. But every time I go to a show, you see a guy like Chops, and Chops makes his way. I think he went out to Winnipeg not long ago, all the way from Winnipeg, then to Montreal within 3 days. And then in between, hit every show he possibly could. That's a wrestling fan right there. And then you have guys like Rob. You have guys like our good friends. We call him on the show Good Walsh and his beautiful wife Val. I got to hook up with them at a show a couple of weeks ago. God, I love wrestling fans. I hate wrestling fans. I despise wrestling fans, but I love indie fans, man. Especially the indie fans around here. They're so great. And Rob is an amazing sign of how good a wrestling fan can be.
I think that we should say that Rob is wrestling's number one fan. He's not Counted Out number one fan. He's not Rock Solid Wrestling's number one fan. He's pro wrestling's number one fan. That guy just loves all promotions and everything to do with wrestling. So there you go, Rob. We put you over big time. So I hope that's enough of a thank you for all that stuff you've given us and all the love you've shown us over the years, man. Thank you so much for all that. And thank you for being so passionate about the business, to you and all the other fans that listen to the show and go to the shows, pay the money to see the tickets. That's what it's all about. So thanks, guys.
Man, if it's in Collingwood, that's not too far out my backyard. I might actually be able to hit that.
Just saying. It'll be a big night. You should come. You and Tyler should come.
That's it.
Hell, bring Lucy the cat. I'll have her come and sit with me by ringside.
Which one? We'll bring both.
There you go.
We'll bring both Lucy's. Speaking of being humble and speaking of Rock Solid, let's tickle your ego a little bit. There's a beautiful picture going around from Rock Solid Wrestling of you and friend of the show and current Impact superstar Cody Deaner. And that picture's picking up traction, man. You already told us offline. I'd love for you to tell our listeners. Can you tell me the story behind that picture? Because to me, it's a really beautiful story.
It's a really cool moment that was captured by one of the fans in Timmins. Some of you may know that I do ring announcing duties for Rock Solid Wrestling every chance that I get. I love yelling wrestlers' names very loudly into a microphone, and I love doing it with those guys, that crew. They're the epitome of professionalism, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever worked for anybody better, to be honest with you. They're just the best. And I always try to go out there and give it my all. Someone once asked me, who are you inspired by? Who do you try to emulate when you're out there? And I know a lot of ring announcers would say Howard Finkel, or even the fantastic David Penzer is the best in the business right now. But I've always seen myself as a host of a show. And so I've always tried to find a little bit of inspiration from the likes of Jeremy Borash or Adon West, who were more about, cheerleading the crowd and making them feel like it was a party. So maybe that sets me apart. I don't know, but
I like that.
During the show, after a particularly scathing promo that Cody Deaner had cut on Daddy Davis, by the way, the most underrated talent in the indie scene right now. If you're sleeping on Daddy Davis, don't. He's incredible. And Deaner, of course, is Deaner. The man's a treasure. After the match, he gets out of the ring, and I'm there just, clapping, getting the crowd kind of into it, and just getting ready to call the next match. And he just comes over and puts his arm around me and says, and by the way, I just want to say, hasn't this guy been doing a great job tonight? And I got to tell you, that caught me off guard. That wasn't planned. It was completely unexpected, but he did something that he didn't have to do. And put me over in front of the crowd. And that honestly was very touching. It was, people, I said in the hashtag on the post, if you know, that quote that I put out there, which is, there is nothing like the respect of your peers and the people you work with. Now, I would never consider Cody Deaner my peer by any sense of the imagination. I'm nowhere near his level, but he was a coworker, at least for that night. He was my coworker, and he showed me a massive amount of respect that he didn't have to. And afterwards, I approached him and I told him how much it meant to me, and he said, well, that he had meant every word of it, and that meant a lot to me that he would say that, because I consider myself the luckiest man in pro wrestling, even if I don't make $1 million, or I never work for one of the quote unquote major companies. I feel like the luckiest man in pro wrestling when I get to go out there, because honestly, there's nothing on the planet that makes me feel the way I feel when I'm at a Rock Solid Wrestling show, whether I'm working camera, whether I am as I'm ring announcing, whether I'm doing backstage interviews, or honestly, whether I'm just the guy hanging out in the backstage, running around, fetching things for people. There is an atmosphere in those shows that I honestly can't explain. There's something different about those shows that nobody else is doing. And it's honestly something you can't describe. It's something you just feel. And I feel it when I'm at those shows, and getting the chance to do that makes me so happy. And then to add on top of that, a legitimate star in the business,
100%.
Unprompted, to say something like that to me is, it meant the world to me, and it still does. I'm still riding the high of that. So, although I feel like I've taken up way too much time talking about something that nobody outside of this computer screen is going to care about, thank you for letting me document that story in audio format for the rest of my life. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit here. People do care about this kind of stuff. People like these kind of stories. Anybody who watches Rock Solid Wrestling, anybody who goes to those shows, is going to love this story. They really are. Anybody who's a Cody Deaner fan, and don't fucking kid yourself. If you're sitting there going, he called Cody Deaner a fucking megastar. If you don't think that he's a massive star right now, you're not watching Impact Wrestling. It's as simple as that. He is at the top of his game. He's doing the best work of his entire career, and that's saying something as far as I'm concerned. And you and Cody go back quite a bit, do you not? Like, you've been working shows with Cody probably for the better half of 10 years.
It's so funny that you say that, because I honestly felt like him saying those nice things about me was kind of a full circle moment, because as I've talked about on this show before, my experiences with Cody on a personal level have always been great, but I always seem to somehow muck things up with him for the better part of the entire time that I've worked with him. I remember doing a backstage interview with him for Sin City Wrestling way back in the day in like 2006. And I started stuttering and mumbling over my words, and he had to correct me in the middle of the interview, and, just flowed right with it, because the man's a professional and I'm an idiot, but he fixed it. And then when I was doing one of my first announcing gigs for Rock Solid Wrestling at one of their big Angus shows, I tried to say something clever about him possibly losing the belt later that night and having the shortest world title reign in history. And again, stumbled over my words, made it sound really stupid, like I was giving away the finish of the match. And I remember Cody like walking up to me and staring daggers into my face in the middle of the ring. And I didn't know if it was part of the act or if he was being serious. And believe me, he would have had every right to just have slapped me across my face and take the microphone from me at that point. So to go from that to having Cody Deaner wrap his arm around me and say, hey, this guy's doing a really good job, I feel like it was redemption. This was my story arc. This was my story arc here. This was my redemption story.
that story hits home for me, because it's like, this is not the same by any stretch of the imagination. I wasn't in the middle of a ring. There's no pressure. But just a few weeks ago, I'm in the middle of what I now consider probably my favorite and best interview I've ever done on this show with the Death Machine, Sami Callihan. And I can feel that I'm doing a good job. It's one of those very rare moments that I get, because I have zero self-esteem. So it's very, very rare that I'm in an interview and I'm feeling it so much that I'm like, this is going really well. I'm enjoying this. I'm doing well. He's doing well. This is great. And then I call OVE, Ohio versus everyone, and it goes to shit. When you have Sami Callihan screaming at you, it's everything. It's everything. It's like, now, thank God we jumped back and we got back on track. Everything was okay. But I get that way. You're saying he stared daggers through you. I'm like, I don't know. Did I actually piss off Sami fucking Callihan right now? Are we over? Are we done? My heart sunk right into my nuts like for that one moment. So I get that. Man. I feel that.
Well, I think that we've probably spent enough time Barry Horowitzing ourselves here. Maybe we move on to either some news or maybe you want to talk about the list. What do we want to jump into?
We're not going to do news this week, man. There's nothing to talk about a whole lot. We are going to jump into the list very quickly, but I have a fun little discussion to have. I can't think of anybody better to have it than with you right now. I'm going to put you on the spot with something, and maybe this is going to go nowhere.
Sure.
Maybe your answer is going to be no. Maybe it's nothing, but I'm going to try it anyways. I don't have a whole lot of time in my life. I used to be an avid reader. I love reading. I used to always have my nose in the book. I don't get that time in my life very much anymore. Thanks to the magic of Audible. Audible, make us a sponsor. I'm getting back on reading. So I'm back on my wrestling autobiography fix. In the last 2.5 weeks, I got 2 books in. I got to read Brian Gewirtz's book, and I read John Moxley's book. Both phenomenally done. I love both of them. So my question to you is, are you still on the autobiography kick, or have you read any good wrestling books in the last, let's say, year or so? Do you have anything to recommend reading wise?
I honestly don't have anything to recommend. I can tell you that those books that you mentioned, Gewirtz's book and Mox's, are on my list. I'm also interested in picking up the Young Bucks book, only because they have such an interesting story. But honestly, the book that is at the top of my list, and I'm very sad I haven't actually seen a whole lot of, is Medusa. She has her own book out, and I think that is a woman who's got an incredible story, and I really would love to hear about it. And she's got her book now, and I'm actually going to try and find the title of it, The Woman Who Would Be King, the Medusa story. It's a great title. Of course, if you're searching it by author name, she is writing it under her actual name, Deborah Maselli. But it's through ECW Press. So if you guys are getting a chance to
ECW Press is still a thing. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely, it is. And putting out wrestling books still. So there you have it. Or Rob, if you're listening, my birthday is June 6th. So just a couple of days before the Collingwood show. I'm teasing. Please don't do that, Rob. I'd feel terribly embarrassed if you did that for me. But for anyone who is interested in that, I would highly recommend checking it out, just because, I'm sure she has a fascinating story. And yeah, I mean, there's a couple of books that I've read over the years that I could recommend, but nothing recently, or nothing that's been a new release, unfortunately.
I up until recently, I would have been the same thing. I just getting back onto being able to listen until Gewirtz's book. My last one, I think, was Bob Hawley's piece of shit of a fucking rag, but I don't know why I read that book.
So you liked it?
Oh my God. And the greatest part, that's not true. The last one I read before that, and it was for research purposes, turned out to be one of my favorite books, and that was Bill Apter's book.
There you go.
Yeah, that was fantastic. But before that was Bob Hawley's book. And again, thank you to Audible. Audible makes my life so much easier. Except, listen, Audible, I got one bone to pick with you. If you're not going to get the author to read your book, pick somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. In Gewirtz's book, the dude was fine until he started mispronouncing. He mispronounced every wrestling name that they came across him. He referred to Triple H as Triple X at one point. He's talking about Ted DiBiase. It just like he's just murdering not only the pronunciations but the inflections. He would do a catchphrase, but because he wouldn't get the inflection, and there's a lot of Gewirtz was Rock's boy, so there's a lot of stories about Rock, so a lot of Rock's catchphrases in there. If you're not going to say them with the right inflection, it doesn't come off right.
No,
so
it doesn't.
If Brian wasn't going to read it himself, if Brian read it himself, it would have all came off perfectly. And this is why I love Mox's book. Mox read the book himself for Audible, and it came off like that, just like Bill Apter's book. It came so personal. It was a better listen because it was very, very personal. It was read the way it was meant to be read. Bob Hawley's book was read by a British guy.
That's interesting.
It didn't work, man.
Here's a fun little question. If you could read the story of any wrestler that hasn't put out a book yet. So an autobiography by a wrestler that hasn't been written yet. Whose story would you like to read?
This has to be based in reality, right?
Well, maybe. What are you thinking? Like, you obviously have an idea.
Well, because these kind of questions, my mind always goes straight to Roddy Piper.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, if Roddy was alive right now and could write a book about the last fucking 60 years, I'd read it in a heartbeat.
Well, did you read the book that he did end up writing?
No, I didn't even know he wrote a book, to be perfectly
He did.
honest.
He did.
Okay. So
It's got the very clever title of In the Pit with Piper.
Okay.
And yeah, it is a fascinating read, to be sure. I would say I think you will enjoy that one. So there you go. You've got another one for your list.
I think the number one has to be, and I want it written by him. It can't be a biography. It can't be written about him. I think it has to come from him. I would read a book written by Vince McMahon. Now, I do know it'd be 90% bullshit, but I still want to read that book. I'd also like to read a book by Triple H and not a book about fucking fitness and doing jumping jacks.
It was about half and half. It was a half and half book.
I want a little bit more reality-based book from Triple H. Other than that, as funny as this sounds, I would love for Scott D'Amore to write a book about Can-Am.
Okay.
I think that would be extremely interesting. Not just about Can-Am, but like his I'd like to be about his career, but really focusing on Can-Am and the people he's brought up in that dojo. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a really interesting book.
I don't doubt it. I think that you've got a great idea there for a book. So, hey, pitch it next time you're in Impact's area. Go and pitch it to him.
Yeah, next time my boy Ross will get me within 5 feet of him.
There you go.
I'll go book it. Funny story that we never told. I don't think we told it on this show. We were able to get as you've heard on the show, we were able to get a show bumper from Scott on this show. We waited a good 20 minutes while Scott shot the shit with some old buddies of his, and he was very gracious to come say hi to us and stuff like that. And then signed our ticket and stuff like that. And we asked him for the show bumper, and he looks at me, he's like, I don't know. I feel like you're getting shit for this. Hold on. He looks over about 100 feet away. There's Ross Foreman. I'm like, fuck, don't ask Ross. Don't ask Ross. Ross is going to tell us to go fuck ourselves. And he yells across St. Clair College, hey, Ross, these guys want me to do a shout out for their podcast. Yeah or no? And we're just like, come on, Ross. Come on, Ross. Ross like, yeah. About a half hour later, I run into Ross, and Ross puts his hand on my shoulder, and he looks at me and Tyler, and he says, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get me in shit with the boss? I said, the boss? You're the fucking boss. Scott D'Amore just asked your permission to do something for me. You're the fucking man around Impact, Ross Foreman. And I very briefly ran into Ross at the Rebellion pay-per-view. Always a good time. He took 2 minutes to come shake my hand, and we give Ross some shit on this show every once in a while, but Ross is a good man. We wouldn't have any of the great interviews that we get from Impact without him. So thank you, Ross.
Absolutely. And thank you for saying that I was his favorite member of the Canada team.
That's my other favorite part of that. We meet Ross Foreman for the very first time. We've been talking to Ross Foreman via phone, via text, via email, all that shit for 2 years. Never met the man face to face. We finally meet the man face to face. We go up, we shake his hand. He looks at us like, yeah. And we're like, it's Mike and Tyler. He's like, I know who you are. Where's Adam? Fuck off.
Because he knows I'm always lurking in the shadows somewhere.
He knows where the money is.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of Impact, I'm not going to have you on the show without treating you to an Impact list. You know that.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I just so happen to have this list in the back pocket. I've been working on this list for a long time. This is a little difficult, but I was saving it for the next time you came on. I wasn't going to do this one without you. I couldn't do this one without you.
Thank you.
So as soon as I found out that you were able to fill in for Tyler this week, I pulled this one out. I'm gonna get some heat for this one, man. I know it, and I'm okay with that. Our listeners are probably, especially for our listeners, are old school TNA fans rather than Impact Wrestling fans. I think I'm gonna catch some heat for leaving some what is are thought of as integral themes off this
Do you
list.
feel like you have a bit of a recency bias on your list?
A very valid recency bias, yes. But I'll tell you what I told Tyler. I have something to prove with this list, because this list, Tyler flat out told me he's got no interest in it because he feels that Impact is the WCW of themes. The themes just kind of muddle in the background, and nobody cares about the themes in TNA and Impact. And I feel the exact opposite, especially right now in Impact, and right now in professional wrestling. I've said this to Tyler, and I truly believe that Impact has the best themes in professional wrestling right now. When I think of my favorite current themes, I'm going to say that 6 out of 10 are Impact.
They got some good tunes for sure.
They have better themes than both WWE and AEW as far as I'm concerned. Excuse me, I'm very gassy today. It's from getting hard.
You're having a hard time with that lemonade. It sounds like. Well, okay, I wanted to ask about that because I too, when putting together, my own little list of personal favorites, did notice that there was a little bit of a recency bias until I kind of went back and listened to a few, and I realized how many bangers there were in the TNA catalog. And
there were, and I'll probably hit a lot of those on my honorable mentions. And this is where I'm going to catch the heat. When I go and look at, and I do this every time I do a list, after I'm done my list, I go and I Google other people's lists. And when I see, a bunch of the other lists, right, there's 2 songs that keep popping up in the top 3 that aren't on my list.
Yeah, I've looked at some of those lists as well, and I don't think you're going to catch any of that heat from me. In fact, I think that there's a couple on my list that I think are going to really make people kind of scratch their head. Even Impact fans are going to be like, what is he even talking about? We'll see what happens, but I am very interested to see where your list goes. I also wanted to ask, do you have a certain criteria for this? Because I know that there's certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Eligibility requirements that you may want to have for this in terms of things like, say, sound alike. I know that this is, something that TNA may take some heat for, something WCW took a lot of heat for, as Tyler might have brought up before, that, there's a couple of songs that TNA would play, and then you go, wait a minute, that's just X song, but with a sound alike. And here's the thing. Part of me says, okay, some of those need to go. And then there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but if they're good, and if they're maybe even better than the original, who cares? So what's your take on that?
I mean, I can't. If it's going to be like you said, sound alike, it's got to be real fucking good.
I agree.
And then it can qualify. But if it also falls under the rest of my criteria, it would qualify as well. Number one thing for my criteria is the elicitation of a emotional response, be it positive or negative. If you can pop a crowd just by playing that theme song, which I believe many of my theme songs do, then you can qualify for this list. If you can get those fucking people in that crowd ready to jump the barrier before you even come out the curtain because they hate your theme song so fucking much because they know that you're the dickhead coming out, then that's going to do it for me. So a crowd response has a lot to do with my list. Okay. It's also got to be a banger, man. Like, it's got to be something you can throw on your playlist. You know what I mean?
I do.
And that's very subjective. That's very subjective. There's certain songs that I can listen to in the gym or going for a walk that other people like, I couldn't listen to that, where the guy next to me might be listening to Right to Censor. I don't know. So
if that's the case, you need to run.
You can listen to. Yeah, right. It's got to be something you can just like you can throw onto your phone, listen to it sitting on the bus or walking down the street, and you're happy. That it's got to be one of those kind of songs, you know.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm
and last but not least, it has to fit the character.
that's fair.
There's been great theme songs out there that just don't fit the character. You know what I mean?
I agree with you in terms of that being important.
I believe you've grown away from this thought. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you hated Randy Orton using voices when it first started.
I probably did at the time, and I probably don't remember it because it was such a silly argument.
But this is what I'm saying. I got your point, because you're like, he doesn't hear voices. That's fucking stupid. The song ended up being perfect for him. But
Right.
at the time,
Eventually.
but at the time, you made me sit back and go, do I really like this song? Or like, do I just like this song, or do I like this as a theme for this wrestler? And that's important here as well. It can't just be a great song. It has to fit the wrestler, which again, all 7 of mine absolutely do.
Well, I'll be the judge of that, Michael.
Yes, you will.
Why don't you get us started with your number 7?
We're going to keep the old TNA fans happy, because we're going to start with an old school song.
All right, let's hear it. This is where technology betrays us.
We're trying to sit some editing here.
Now, I don't want to alarm you, Mike, but I don't know if
You're not hearing anything, are you?
I don't hear a thing right now,
That's horrible.
and I
This whole show is
apologize.
Now, this is where the whole show goes off the rails, because I wish I knew where my microphone was located in my computer, and I could just hold it up to that. Huh. Nothing, eh?
Nothing.
Well-
I'm not getting anything,
Well,
sir.
ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna have to go and Google this shit. That really throws a wrench in my plan. Do you know how hard Tyler is laughing right now?
About as
my
hard
number-
as you are drinking that lemonade.
My number 7 is Christian Cage.
Okay, so this is definitely on my all-time list. I love this song. Tell me why you put it on the list and why it's at number 7.
Christian's always had great theme songs. I think he's got a good ear for knowing what's right for him. So when he's presented with a theme song by Jim Johnston, whoever who it may be, I think he's a smart enough guy to be like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Let's tweak this. Let's change this. Let's do this. He must be that kind of guy, because he always has the perfect theme songs. He really does. He's had great theme songs all through his WWE career. And then he comes out in TNA, and he comes up to this absolute banger. This works if he's a heel. It works if he's a face. He can make this song work for both. He comes out, this song, you want to cheer him, you want to boo him. It works for him as a cocky piece of shit. It works for him as the hero. This song it's the all-round perfect song for a guy like Christian.
What I like about it is it's got a good build. You know, you have those electronic warbles at the beginning, and then that like they even had a countdown for this first Titantron, or would it be a TNA Tron video,
Yeah, right.
as he was making his entrance, counting down his arrival, because that's the kind of build it has. Now, I love this song. It's one of my favorites. I didn't know if I was going to put it on like my top 7, and part of that comes back to the elephant in the room that I think we need to address. We brought it up earlier. The fact that this is technically a sound-alike song. So would you like to, do you happen to know what this is a sound-alike of? Do you want to tell them, or do you want me to
I would love
educate
to,
the
because
people?
educate me.
So here's a funny story. When I first heard this, I thought it was an attempt to sound like his WWF theme by Waterproof Blonde, which is another banger.
Right. Yeah.
But it turns out that's not what it is. It is a sound-alike, but it's a sound-alike for the Evanescence song, My Last Breath. If you
All right, I
Yeah.
don't know that song, so
And neither
All
did
right.
I until I learned that it was a sound alike for the Christian Cage theme. And then
I
I
guess
was like, oh, okay.
so. I guess if it's 2004 and your name is Jeff DeHaan and he comes out, you're fucking losing your shit at this moment. But everybody else.
Jeff might have been even the one that told me, that's an Evanescence song. He probably wouldn't have surprised me. He was a big fan. But yeah,
that's funny to me.
now you've got your homework tonight. You're going to go listen to the Christian Cage song, and then you're going to go listen to that Evanescence song, and you're going to go, of course, it's obvious.
I 100% will.
All right, man. That's interesting. Now I'm really excited to see that since you've led off with that, I'd like to know where everything else falls on your list.
This is really angry. I'm going to find a way to fit this music in one way or another. Okay. Looks like I'm the one editing the show this week. I promise, Tyler, I'm going to make this work.
It sounds that way.
My number 7 is
Christian Cage. Take over. We just established that.
Oh, sorry. Yes. My number 6. My number 6 is both pretty old school and current.
Okay.
This person's using this theme for quite a long time. We're going hardcore country.
Okay. I've seen this one on a lot of lists.
I love this song, man. I think Mickey really hit something special when she came out with this song.
I agree. And like Mickey herself proves that she's got some great talent as a singer on this tune. I think probably wouldn't have made my list, but I think that's more just because I'm not a huge country music guy. So I don't think it doesn't hit for me the way that it does for others, but it is a great tune. Yeah. It's a great tune though.
It just, I've gone through my country phases in my life, and I do appreciate a certain style of country music. But I wouldn't call myself a country fan through and through. So I don't think it's about that for me. It's more about, again, the response she elicits with the song. That song will get a pop as soon as that opening hardcore country hits. But it's also her entrance. She makes that song work for her.
And I'll also say this.
She comes out, the way she dances, the way she like skips the ring to it, and it's great.
Even though I'm not a country music guy, by the time it hits the chorus, I'm definitely singing it. Like I'm singing along.
And let's this may not be the last time we talk about this, but let's give a nod to the lost art of singing your own theme song.
Yeah, very really not since the days of Rob Conway. No, I'm kidding.
No, you can't take it back. I love you so much for that comment. I made Tyler suffer for a good 10 straight minutes on our trip home from Windsor by playing Rob Conway's theme song on loop in the car, because it's one of my favorite theme songs in WWE history.
If you do end up editing, this would be a good point to put that song in, so we can hear a little taste of that.
Absolutely.
Nowhere near on the spectrum that hardcore country is. A great pick, man. Like I said, wouldn't make my top 7, but absolutely respect the choice to put it on yours and at this spot as well.
We're sticking with the current regime of Impact Wrestling right now with, man, what this theme, again, when you hear it, it brings people to their feet. If you're anybody but Matt Sookrum in hatred, but if you're Matt Sookrum, you're losing your shit. I'm going for Moose's theme song right now.
Yeah, this is an absolute banger. Absolutely deserves to be on that list. And of course, this is actually a theme song that's been around Impact for a while, because originally it wasn't just Moose's theme. It actually belonged to a little trio that he used to chum around with. Him, Killer Cross, and Austin Aries all used this theme song. But I think, of course, if you were to ask people today, it's Moose's theme. He's made it his.
Yeah, but now mixing it with what is it, 042 tuna in the beginning?
Yes.
And, putting that there, and then a little bit of the extra like mixing in it, and then having the crowd chant Moose through it. It makes it's really his own now, and it's he commands that song, man. He really does. That song, that guy is this fucking close to becoming the biggest face in the business. And I'm not sure if that's his plan, if that's something he wants, if that's something he likes, but he can't deny it. The minute they turn that guy face, he's going to be the biggest face in wrestling, because when that song comes on, people forget they hate him for a minute, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we hate this guy." Oh yeah, that's how much they love this fucking theme song.
They're like Danny Franchise when John Cena comes back at the 2008 Royal Rumble and he forgets that he doesn't like him again for a few minutes. You're absolutely right. The fan interaction of the song puts it over the top for me. But what I really love about it is that it changes gears, almost like it shifts into another level. Once you get to that part where you've got that driving guitar riff right after the Moose chants or those beat breaks there. And, it gets you kind of amped, and then it gets you ready to rock. It builds up to that point, and then it says, okay, it's go time now. And that's what you should be feeling when a guy comes to the ring, and Moose's song completely encapsulates that. So yeah, definitely one of the absolute best of the modern era. So it's a good choice for your list as well. I approve of this one.
It scares me that I don't know where the mic is located on this computer. I usually have an external mic, but I'm using not my computer this week. So it scares me.
That mic is located right in front of the computer screen. That's that mic. And that's the most important mic of all.
That's the hard mic.
The real mic is the friends we made along the way.
In wrestling, you have the hard cam. On Count It Out, you have the hard mic. All right. Going on to my number 4, this brings back to something you mentioned during the intro. Let's talk about sound-alikes for a minute. I said that if you're going to have a sound-alike, and if it's going to even qualify this list, it better be fucking good. Well, this one's really fucking good. And I'm going to go ahead and say that it might even surpass the original. Like, it might even be better than the song it's based on. And I mean, like, blatantly based on. Like, no, they didn't even try to hide it. This is because we can't use our old theme song anymore, so let's make a new one that sounds kind of like it. We're going Decay for my number 4.
Okay. All right.
Dude, I fucking love this song so much. I grew up a huge Marilyn Manson fan, so I loved it in the beginning when Decay started using the Nobodies. I thought it really fit them. I thought it was a great theme. Of course, it's always the question, how long can you afford a song like that? Like, that's not going to be a cheap song to keep going on. So eventually you're going to have to get your own theme. So they did. And of course, you'd be dumb to not call this sound alike. Of course, there's elements in it that sound like the Nobodies. But I think the song is better than the Nobodies as a wrestling theme anyways. I think it fits all 3 Decay members so very fucking well. And I miss Rosemary coming out to this song. I love the Death Dolls theme as well, but I miss Rosemary coming out to this theme. Right now, it's been more of a Steve and Black Taurus thing. Actually, more of a Steve thing, because even Black Taurus comes out to a different theme when he comes out solo. But I absolutely love this theme. It's something that I have on my playlist on a regular basis.
Well, I think when you talked about how the theme has to fit the character, I don't think there's going to be a song on this list that's more fitting than Decay, honestly. The primal scream at the beginning of it, the droning kind of bass line.
Do you think that's Rosemary?
I'll say this, I can't confirm, but in my head canon it is, and that's what I'm choosing to believe.
Exactly. I bet it's her. It sounds like her.
If someone from Impact Wrestling came up to me and said, just so you know, that's not her, we paid some actress, I'd say, you're wrong. And they would go, I was there in the studio, I watched them do it, and I would say, you are incorrect. That is Rosemary screaming on that track, and you cannot convince me otherwise. And that's kind of the magic of the song, is that it takes you into the mindset of the world that's being built through that music. And when you hear those chords, that stuff's about to get weird, man. And that's what's great about the song, is that it immediately lets you know what world you're in, which is Decay's world, and that prepares you for what's about to come next. So it does everything that a theme song is supposed to do.
when and the video works for it very well, because when that primal scream, like you called it, comes up, you have that hand that goes across the screen in the static, and it makes it work so much better as well. When just a few weeks ago, when a good friend of the show, Jeff DeHaan, and I were able to be ringside for Rebellion, cool thing for me was the very, very, very first theme song to play that whole night was this theme. That set the night for us, because the opening dark match was Crazy Steve versus Sheldon Jean, and Steve came out first. So this was the very first song to play, and I just looked straight at Jeff and I said, "It's going to be a good night." You can't not have a great night when a theme like this is starting your night off. This theme gets you up, and this theme, I think it works really good for this stable as faces, but it works for them as heels as well. And a good theme can be interchangeable like that. And so, if Steve ever wants to go really fucking evil again, he doesn't have to get rid of his theme.
I love how you say that as if like Rosemary and Taurus are like one bad day away from snapping on the entire roster.
Right. One more current theme song for me.
Oh, okay.
For my number 3. Well, at least one more. We'll see.
Okay.
Are you ready, Adam?
I believe I am. Hold on. Wait.
Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready?
Wait.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Are you ready to believe?
When I was looking through my lists of songs, I saw this one and I thought, yeah, that's probably going to be on here. I'm not surprised in the least this is on here. I'm actually kind of surprised it's not number 2 or number 1. Just because I know how much you love this song.
Listen, it was so close. Talk to me again in 10 years from now when Joe Hendry's been using this song a lot longer, and not only for like 6 months, when it's become a staple in Impact Wrestling. Maybe it'll be my number 1. Right now, it's got to be my number 3, but what a fucking song. You want to talk about a song that, I talk about how important it is for a song to be interchangeable. You can use it as a heel, use it as a face. Let's be perfectly fucking honest. There's no reason that Joe Hendry is a babyface. Joe Hendry is the biggest heel in Impact Wrestling. He's the biggest piece of shit in any other company, in any other era, in any other year. Joe Hendry would be booed the fuck out of that building. But because he's never been presented like that, he's always come out and been the "I'm for you." It works. And somehow he's made this character, this arrogant, cocky, self-absorbed character, work as one of the biggest baby faces they have right now. And to go along with it is the most obnoxious self-absorbed theme song in wrestling history, except for maybe Rob Conway. But there's something about that theme, man. The fact that it starts with like just that opening when say his name, and right away, as soon as you hear that, the crowd's in right away. You get in 2 bars and the entire fucking audience, he's got them right away. And that's before the amazing guitar solo, and that's before the entire crowd is waving like this. The minute that song hits, he's got them. And that's what a great theme song does.
You're absolutely right about that. There's no question that this song, above maybe any in Impact's history, has that kind of fan interaction associated with it, because they're not just singing the lyrics, they're doing the motions that go along with the song. It's a completely interactive experience when Joe Hendry makes his entrance. And that's something that you can't say for the vast majority of professional wrestling theme songs, not just Impact Wrestling theme songs. So it's definitely got a unique novelty to it in that sense. Now, as a song itself, is it a banger? Is this something that you would put on? Does it actually motivate you in the gym like a speech from a Joe Hendry?
100%.
All right.
It is on my phone. I've used it jogging. I've used it cleaning my house. I've used it. I listen to it frequently, my friend. I do. I love it so fucking much. If I'm in even a small, like, shitty mood, like if I'm at work and I'm being pissy or something like that, I'll go in my office, I'll throw that song on, I'm okay 10 minutes later.
And then you come out chanting, I believe, I believe.
Man, this guy, Joe Hendry, I really enjoyed Joe Hendry's work in ROH before ROH folded, especially like during the pandemic and stuff. I knew there was something about him. I knew there was something I liked about him. He was going to go somewhere. I didn't know where. I didn't know what he was capable of, but I knew I liked him. When he showed up on Impact with this character, with this theme song, he had me day one. Day one, I said, I believe in Joe Hendry. And here we are several months later, after several feuds, still as the digital media champion. And I can honestly say he's in my top 3 favorite Impact wrestlers right now.
And your top 3 favorite themes.
Exactly. I'm going to lie if I ever get to interview and to call him number 1, of course. But, but man, this guy's, there's nowhere to go but up for this guy right now.
And nowhere for us to go but up on the list.
1000%. This is where, do I catch heat for this? I don't know, because I think this is a classic. We're going back to old school TNA finally.
I mean, look, if you didn't get any heat for Joe Hendry, like, you know.
This is a song that you want to listen to motion, even if you don't want it to. You might. I don't think this is a banger. I don't think you turn this on because you want to get motivated. This is one that comes on in the Impact Zone. You want to jump the fucking barrier and kick this guy in the nuts.
All right.
But it's as much the theme song as it is the character, because the theme song, it elicits that, man. We're going to My World by Jeff Jarrett.
Okay. Now, I have thoughts on this song.
All right.
Possibly the best intro to any Impact theme song ever. The Wii U is actually it's a meme now in wrestling where people will talk about Jeff Jarrett in some way and they don't even say his name. They just put Wii U, and people know what you're talking about. I think that this is a song that when I first heard it, I thought it was so dumb and stupid. And honestly, lyrically, it may be the worst Impact song in history.
100%, yes.
But I cannot deny that there is something insanely catchy about that song.
This song is the ass man of TNA.
Wow.
Like that's
number
exactly
2. Was there a connection there? Ass number 2? Is that what you're
no. I'm just talking lyrically. I mean, Jeff Jarrett's not talking about sniffing butts in this song, though, so maybe he's got a little bit of an edge on Billy. But man, you want to talk about a listening response? This song does that for a long time. And I don't know, it depends on who you are, how you watch the product. Some people hate Jeff Jarrett because he's a great heel. Some people hate Jeff Jarrett because they hate Jeff Jarrett.
True.
Jeff Jarrett, we
for the record, I am not any of those people. I loves me some Jeff Jarrett.
We talked about Go Home Heat quite a while back on this show. I think Jeff is a guy who knows how to get himself some fucking Go Home Heat. But for a period of time, Impact was Jeff's baby. And just like a lot of bookers from, the old school mentality, he took that baby and made it all about himself. So it was easy to hate Jeff Jarrett, which was smart of him to make himself the heel. Because if he would have tried to make himself the Hulk Hogan of the place, it would have just fallen on his face. So it sort of worked. And this theme song helped along the way, because you heard that, especially the Wii U, you wanted to fucking kick this dude in the nuts, even more so without the theme song. You know what I mean?
See, I think you've chosen your words very poorly, because by saying Wii U and talking about a lot of nuts, all I want to do now is go watch Kung Pao Enter the Fist. For those of you that know, you know. For those of you that don't know, go watch Kung Pao Enter the Fist. But you're absolutely right about
Adam
that.
Adam has been pushing this movie on me for 20 years. I just want to say that out loud.
And see, and this is why you're the Jeff Jarrett of podcasting, because even though there is a Jeff Jarrett of podcasting,
I was gonna say, I thought Jeff Jarrett was the Jeff Jarrett of podcast.
no, it's actually, that's the twist. It's actually you. What a swerve, because you refuse to watch this masterpiece. So you're the biggest heel in podcasting as far as I'm concerned.
We are giving a lot of talk to changing our the theme song to the podcast. So I might change it to Wii U.
I mean, if you do, I think the ratings are going to go up, because like you said, that song does elicit an emotion, whether it's love or hate. For me, it's love, just because I can't get enough of The Last Outlaw personally. But, you know, you're absolutely right. It is one of those songs where I think I go through phases on it, where sometimes I hear it and I want to turn my music off, because I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of it. And then sometimes it just hits the right way, and you're like, yeah, man, this is exactly what I wanted to hear today. So it is a polarizing tune.
Yes, but I'll tell you why it's my number 2. When you think of especially a certain era of TNA, and I mean, when I say era, I mean the first 10 years of TNA. When you think of that era, you have to think of Jeff Jarrett. You have to. There's no way of getting around it. And you think of that theme song. There's certain theme songs you heard every fucking week for 10 years. And that was one you heard several times a week, every week for 10 years. You know what I mean? So that kind of helped weigh itself down to my number 2. Plus, man, it's a fun fucking theme.
100%. All right.
This is where it really hurts me to not be able to play these themes right now. This ruined everything for me, because this is the one. If Jeff Jarrett, if I put Jeff Jarrett, because it's the biggest babyface or the biggest heel theme song possibly in TNA history, this one's probably the biggest babyface theme song in TNA history. This is the absolutely song. This is the song. My number 1 is the song this got babyface written all over it. This is the song that makes you fall in love with wrestling every time you fucking hear it.
Hold on a second. I know you asked me the question earlier if I was ready, but now I got to ask you if you're ready, Mike. Are you ready to fly?
I love you.
So wait a minute. Okay, well, what's your number? Wait a minute. What's your number?
What do you think my number 1 is?
It's got to be I Am, right? Wait a minute. Are you here telling me it's not AJ Styles?
I told you I was going to catch a lot of heat for not having 2 theme songs on my list.
Wow.
Kurt Angle is one of those songs. The phenomenal AJ Styles is the other. You
are right.
Like
well done.
Song. Yeah. No, I don't like it. I never have. I never will. I'm sorry. No, I don't enjoy it.
Well, what is it you don't enjoy about it? Do you feel it insists upon itself, Michael?
I like the money pit.
That is your response.
I like Rob Conway. No, man. It's just,
nobody likes Rob Conway.
I don't see anything special about it. I don't. It's just another theme song for me. I don't get it. I think his WWE song is bounds and leaps above this song.
Debatable.
Bounds and leaps. I love his WWE theme. This one's just another fucking song.
I don't know, man.
No, I don't think it. And I knew this. I knew this was coming because this was number 1 in every other fucking list I saw. I knew this was coming.
If I may just defend AJ's honor a little bit here, I just think that the song actually what I should be saying is, if I may defend Dale Oliver's honor here, I think that what's great about the song is that when you hear it, I think it immediately gets you pumped. And like we talked about a couple of different songs that have build on this one, but I think the minute those drums kick in, you're just like, yeah, I am ready to fly. I am ready for this. Whatever is about to happen here, because it's AJ Styles, man. And I think everything that you talked about in your criteria, I think it matches. So like,
And I am
just shocked.
so happy, and I'm so happy that song does that for you. And apparently everybody else who's ever watched Impact Wrestling, and everybody but me, but it doesn't do that for me. And I'm not like Tyler. Tyler will build his list very mechanically. Even if he hates something, it'll probably make his list because he knows everybody else, well, it's really important. Like everybody else likes it. So it's got to go on the list because people like it. That's not how I build my list. He does his list with his brain. I do my list with my heart. If I can't fucking be emotionally connected to something, it's not making my list. And in this case, it's just not happening. And what really fucking sucks is no matter how good my number one is, and no matter how much I try to sell it, no one's gonna buy it now because it's not AJ Styles.
That's the problem. Is you're picking with your heart, and Tyler picks with his mind. The problem is that this is a list about songs, and I'm picking with my ears. So I'm right and you're wrong. Well, let's hear it.
We've buried the lead. There's no way I'm gonna come up.
You're gonna have to sell it.
But my number one for me, this is the song that does it for me in the history of wrestling, of Impact Wrestling, especially when I go to a live show. When we were in Windsor, when I've been to indie shows, no matter where I go and I hear this theme, I get fucking pumped.
Well, I know what it's got to be.
We are going to Detroit, Michigan for the Motor City Machine Guns. Man, the song pumps me up so much. This is what I assume, because I was a young kid, so I don't know what it would have been like to be an adult. And my memories of being this young, are vague. But this song is what I assume what it was like to be an adult wrestling fan during the Ultimate Warriors era. When that song fucking hit and the adrenaline pumps through and your heart's going, you think you're going to have a fucking heart attack. That's what the fucking Machine Guns do for me. It's an emotional song. It's a fun song. It's a fast paced song. The guys are running out and they're fucking having a great time and you're having a fucking great time. And I never love wrestling more than when I'm in a crowd and I'm seeing the Machine Guns and I'm hearing this song. This is when I feel at my most wrestling fan fucking man, there's no more words for it, man. That's how I feel about this song.
Unquestionably the best theme song in Impact Wrestling today. No question about it. It's number one with a bullet. There are a lot of great songs on the Impact roster today, but this one is the best. Those bullets firing that get you fired up, that da 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 da. It's something easily, it jolts you out of your seat while you're listening to it. Completely fits the characters, absolutely gets them pumped up. It's a great choice. I don't think it's number one, but it is a great choice. And I'll say this for your list, that's a wonderful pick for number one. And honestly, if it were my list, it would probably be in the top three as well. Just a banger, just a fantastic tune from top to finish. It's actually one of the only songs I'm mad I still haven't been able to find on any sort of like streaming music service.
No,
I can't find it.
The only way, like I had a playlist here for that has gone fucking null and
terribly wrong.
But even on my playlist, it was the one and only song of 7 that had to be a YouTube video. I can't. It's not on Spotify. It's not on Google Play. It's very strange. But fuck, man, that song, because I said it has to elicit an emotional response. I don't think there's any song in Impact Wrestling that elicits more of a response from me than that song. And that could be a bias of seeing them live. That very well could be it, because it does. When I hear that song, it brings me to indie shows in Toronto. It brings me to Windsor with you boys. It brings me to seeing them in amazing matches that I've got to witness in my life. And that does a lot to me. But even just watching them on TV, when that song hits, I'm pumped, man. Like nothing pumps me up in Impact more in wrestling right now more than that song. I can be perfectly honest about that. Now, I have some honorable mentions, obviously.
I hope so.
Before I get to those, give me a few that would have made your list and maybe didn't make mine.
A few. You mentioned 2 songs on my list of nearly
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Nearly 20.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. You're probably just going to list off my entire honorable mention list.
So
Uh,
you did talk about Olympic Gold, so let's start there.
Yeah.
Better than his
Again,
WWE theme, I think, far and away. I think that song, I think Olympic Gold kicks the ass of the gold medal stuff.
I can't
WWE.
agree. I'm just a fan of that WWE theme. It is what it is. I know a lot of people love it in Impact. I don't see. I look at him and I don't be like, he's a big rap fan. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, but he is
rap
a
doesn't fit him.
But he is a
don't know.
badass, and I think
He is a badass.
that's a song for a badass. Also,
Yeah.
as a Canadian, you have to like anything that samples Tom Cochrane and Red Rider. So I think that
True
you're
enough.
betraying your country. Like, this is treason. You might as well just go and put a Steve Macklin t-shirt on and drape yourself in the American flag, you traitor.
I'm going to put over our good friend Jonah at the R3 podcast right now. Go over to the archives of Jonah's podcast and check out his exclusive interview with Kurt Angle, which happened to come out the weekend we were in Windsor. Kurt actually talks about the creation of this theme song on this show. So go back and check that out, guys. It's a great interview.
Can we also talk about another pair of wrestlers whose Impact Wrestling theme songs are way better than their WWE counterparts?
Okay.
I want to talk about Booker T's theme, Sucka, because it is infinitely better than his WWE theme. I think it's mild headed.
I'll have to go and revisit that. That's not one that I visited during my research, and because I'm not a Booker T fan, so he's not the first person I think of to when I'm doing my lists. But I do love his WWE theme song. I love it. So if you're saying that it's possible better, I'm going to go and check that out. But I can't say anything right now about that.
The difference is slight, but it does put it over the top to the point where I won't listen to like the Harlem Heat or Booker T's theme song from WWE, but I'll go back and I will put his Impact theme on a playlist. I love it. The other one I want to give a shout out to is Mr. Anderson's theme song, Feedback.
Yeah, me too. I like that one a lot. That's on my honorable mentions.
When it first came up on some of the lists I was looking at, I was like, I don't remember that being that great. And then I went back and listened to it. I was like, oh, right. Yes, this song kicks ass. And it just makes me like, like, it's such a simple, it tickles that lizard part of my brain that just wants to just kick ass, drink beer, and just like rock out. So, and it gets it. I want to fight somebody when I listen to it. So I'm like, that's a great song for him. So way better than his WWE counterparts. So those are those two that I wanted to kind of mention about.
I'd like to tell you what really fought with Christian for my number 7 spot.
Oh, please do.
This came really close to my number 7. It was almost going to be Abyss.
Yes. I thought about whether or not I should include this one because it's kind of simple and it's not like in terms of like a great tune that I would put on the playlist to listen to.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. But Christian which is what gave Christian the edge for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But this is a great theme for Abyss and it's iconic.
100%.
It is an iconic theme.
Yeah. And it's one of those themes. You heard it in TNA. You knew it was someone's about to get fucked up. You
Absolutely.
know?
100%.
I wrote down Magnus.
Okay.
I always liked his theme back in the day. I don't know what Nick is using these days for his theme song. I'm sure it's not that, but I liked that back in the day. I wrote down EC3. I thought he had a great little ditty.
No, it's not a great little ditty. It's a top 5 best ever Impact theme.
Oh shit! All right.
Trouble, 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 trouble. Whoa, oh. Trouble, 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 trouble. Okay, like I'm joking. Lyrically, not the best, but let me tell you something. I have, and I'm not even joking about this, I have a 30-minute rendition of that song that just loops for a full half hour because god damn do I love that song. Like it honestly, it is easily top 5. Like if I was
and
to
remember guys, Remember, guys, every time you say to yourself, lyrically, it's not much. Just remember, did he sniff any butts in the song?
You're
No?
absolutely right. I think it fits him. It gets me pumped. I don't even care that it's like a sound alike stand-in for I know, or my songs know what you did in the dark. I don't even care about that. There's just something about it when you hear it the first time, you're like, this is stupid. It's so stupid. And then you hear it again, you're like, at least that beat's kind of cool. And then like, by the 10th time, and then you're downloading a 30-minute track of it, you're like, damn, this song is the best, man. So I'm glad you brought it up, but honorable mention is a dishonorable spot for it. Should have been in the top 5. Love that song. I don't care how bad it is. At me. I don't care. It's great. Also, I feel the same way about his WWE theme. I don't care what anybody says. Every EC3 theme is a good one. That's my take. That's my hot take.
Oh, now I want to find out what he was using in the control your narrative shit just to see if that pans out for you.
That doesn't count.
My next honorable mention I wrote down is Bobby Roode.
Yeah,
Bobby Roode had a fun theme song.
So you know how like you said, like I'm really glad that AJ Styles theme works for you and all the people that really like it.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about Bobby Roode's theme. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal of it.
Okay. Yeah,
it's
I get
fine.
That. I mean, it wouldn't have made my list.
Clearly,
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I here's the thing. It definitely fits the character, but to me, it just comes off as like, where's the Godzilla theme? That's what I want. I want the real thing.
Yeah.
It's, you know what it is?
Here's
here's my comparison, Mike. Samoa Joe's TNA theme is New Coke. You're trying to make it what we really want, but when we hear it, what we really want is the original. We want the real thing.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. We're gonna go to a couple. I got 3 current songs. I got a rail up right now before I hear more of yours. This was so close to making my list because it just does something to me from an emotional standpoint. But we got to go former Impact champion Josh Alexander.
Good theme. I don't like EDM, so
and neither do I. But and on top of not like EDM, I don't like dubstep, and somehow he makes that song work for me. I really like it. I think it's a great track.
I understand why, and I'll say this. This is a case where I think it's the wrestler that makes the song, not the other way around.
Very possible. Very possible. I would say the same thing for Mike Bailey. I think Mike Bailey's got a great theme song, but I agree. I think it's the wrestler that makes the song.
Yeah, okay, I see that.
My next one might be the most fun song in Impact right now, aside from Joe Hendry. This is the song. Okay. Like I have so much fun for this song. We're going to go Trey Miguel.
Yes, this absolutely is in my list of bests. It's such a good tune.
It's so good, man. He has really come into his own in this heel role.
And I don't mean like it's just a good theme. I mean it's a good song. Like this is on my playlist.
Like,
I do listen
and it's one of those songs too, like just like Moose, where you almost forget you're supposed to hate this guy because you're in the crowd going Trey. You know, it makes you move. It makes you fucking want to dance right there in your seat. It's fun as fuck. I love it.
And for those of you that are looking to download it, it's by 6 Digit is the name of the artist. But it's just called Trey, and it's great. You know what? It actually kind of brings me back. This is kind of a silly thing, but it pulls into what we're talking about here. Did you have WCW Mayhem?
I did.
The CD, the album they put out?
Horrible.
I disagree. I love that album.
Listen, it's bad memories just because the fact that they use an audio version or like a live version of Seek and Destroy and didn't bother removing the commentary, it just ruined it for me. Ruined it.
I it's not a perfect album, and I will admit that it's probably my nostalgia talking.
Yeah.
But it did kind of take me back to that time where like guys were rapping about wrestling and adding like sound effects in there, and just
Yeah.
it just tickled the wrestling part of my brain in just the right way. But yes, it's great. It gets you pumped. It does sound like a face theme when you know
Well,
he's
I
a
was gonna say
heel.
because right now it does fit this cocky thing that he's doing. It
100%.
does. It's very good for what he's working on right now. But when the minute comes when he's ready to flip over and be that loved babyface again, he won't need to scrap this theme. This theme is going to be perfect for him for the rest of his career if he wants it. My
If
last
I
current.
can
Go
I
ahead.
kind of just
Yeah.
dovetail off that
Go,
one?
go.
Because that would actually, I'd also like to bring up another theme that possibly would be my number one, probably my favorite Impact theme of all time, and it
Okay.
does involve our boy Trey, and that is the Rascals and their theme
All right,
Unleashed.
yeah.
Here's the thing, this song probably doesn't fit them at all. Like it's so like hard rock, and I don't.
Yeah.
When I look at the Rascals, I'm like, this isn't a hard rock group.
I think of hip hop. I think of, you know what
Yes.
I mean? Or yeah.
Yes, but that song is so goddamn good that I
Yeah.
don't even care, and I just love those guys.
And
Honestly,
I truly hope they'll be using that theme song when they're at Destiny Wrestling against the Bullet Club in a couple
you
weeks.
have to understand how much I love Trey Miguel. You know, he's my boy in Impact. Like he's my number one.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
my bae. And yet, every time they do something with him, I'm like, I hope this leads to a Rascals reunion, just because I love those guys so much. I know it's one of those things where you can't go backwards. You have to keep moving forward and
Mhm.
everything. But the Rascals are a big reason of why I fell in love with Impact Wrestling again in the
Yeah.
late tens. They're a big reason why, because I started like watching their stuff and seeing the first time when I was with you guys in Toronto and I saw them do the backflip push, like that blew my mind. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And those guys helped me get back into it. So I think that I can admit that part of it is that I just have a soft spot for those three guys doing that act. But again, it is probably the song that gets more attention on my playlist than
Sure.
any Impact theme of all time. So probably not the best fit in terms of like, does it fit the character? But it's so good that I can look past it all the way to my number one.
Well, but also I don't never remember anybody going, looking at that and going, oh, they should change their theme song.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't that off of a fit.
Yeah.
All right. I've
100%.
got two current and one old school, and then I want to hit the rest of yours. My next current was from Honor No More. It is now Eddie Edwards. I hope Eddie keeps this for a long time, and I'm glad he adopted it from Honor No More because I really loved it with Honor No More, and it fit the full stable. Seeing Vincent come out and doing his little fucking weird ass dance to this song worked. Seeing Kenny come out all fucking cocky as bullshit fucking to this song worked. Seeing Eddie come out pure punk fucking rock worked. It worked for this entire stable, even the Kingdom. It worked for this entire stable. And then when the stable dissolved and everybody went away and all those left is Eddie, and I'm thinking, okay, they're probably just going to go to like some heel version of a fucking Dropkick Murphy song, and we're going to forget all about the last 3 months. But no, man, he kept that theme song. He kept it alive. He kept it for himself. He adopted it for himself, and I'm so glad he did because it fits him so well with what he's doing in Impact right now.
If you want to look it up, it's called Tidal Wave by Slow Burn. I actually like the full lyric version even better than the instrumental, even though the instrumental is fantastic. Yeah, I echo all the sentiments that you said. It's just a great tune to listen to. Again, this is another one that probably after that Rascals theme, this one probably gets the most airplay on my playlist. It's just a good rock song, just a good old rock song. But that
intro is fun as fuck.
Yeah, 100% is.
Again,
that build, that and it just gets you going. But I also want to do a quick shout out to Eddie Edwards' Face theme song, The Fighter, just because I love fun. The whoa that the crowd would sing along with it. I thought that really worked for him. So Eddie's had some pretty good themes over the years, but
he has.
But the one he's got now is his best, easily.
Agreed. The Bullet Club. The current Bullet Club theme song that they're using in TNA is it is what it is. It's just, it's fun. It does its job. It gets you in the mood for the Bullet Club. It gets in your ear. It's an earworm for sure. I like it a lot.
Be honest. Say what it is. It's weird. It's a weird song. It doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't work.
It shouldn't work.
It should not work at all. The distorted voice.
But you know what? Let's be perfectly honest. Neither should Chris Bay and East Austin. You know what I mean? They're the two guys. You look and you're like, do they really fit the Bullet Club? Oh, fuck, yes, they do. But you have to think about it first. And Chris Bay said that right with you on this show. Talks about how he doesn't fit that mold with his flashy colors, and he's not black and white. So why should their music be black and white? Why should, you know what I mean? So they come out and they got that swagger. They got the Bullet Club swagger. So they're not coming out to a fast-paced theme. It's the da, da, da. So they can have the swagger to it, but it's different and it fits them really well.
See, and that's the thing. I find like it does not, but it works somehow. It still works somehow.
Yeah.
And Bullet Club is also like that Jeff Jarrett theme, I think, in that you hear it the first time and you're like, this is weird. I don't like this. I don't get it. And then the more you hear it, the more you'll find yourself just walking along one day going like, da, da,
right?
da, and then just singing to yourself like, whatever that distorted voice is singing about his gun. And you'll just be like, what was it? And you'll have to go back and put it on your playlist. Also, I think you're kind of cheating a little bit because I would say the New Japan theme, not an Impact theme.
I was waiting for you to say this, but it's being used in Impact, so it fucking counts.
Well, in that case, then I'm going to talk about one of my honorable mentions as well, because it's technically not a wrestler theme, but it is a theme I associate with Impact, and that is Adrenaline Rush, Adrenaline Rush.
Yeah.
Adrenaline Rush, Adrenaline Rush. Like, honestly, like the best Impact. Like, I like We Own the Night. It's fantastic. Does not hold a candle to Adrenaline Rush. That's the best Impact wrestling theme song ever.
I don't consider this to be cheating at all. If you go way back in the archives to one of our WWF music lists, I believe it was the 90s list. I put on Union Underground. Union Underground was in my top 7 because to me, it's still a wrestling theme song. It may not be for a wrestler. It's for all the fucking wrestlers. It's for the show. So it counts. Adrenaline Rush counts 100%. I'd have to sit down. I haven't listened to it in a while. So I'd have to sit down and listen to that and then listen to We Own the Night because I really love We Own the Night. But that might just be because I love everything about Impact right now. That song represents what Impact stands for right now to me. So that could just be, disassociation. But Adrenaline Rush is a fucking fun song.
Yes, it is.
100%.
Dig it.
My last honorable mention is an old school one. I don't know how you're going to feel about this one. It wouldn't have made my list, but it had to be talked about. I wrote down Aces and Eights.
Yeah. You can talk about this one.
Not much to talk about. It is what it is, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It made every other list that I read. Every list that I read, I read 6 lists, I think, and it was on every other list. And I'm like, okay, it's not gonna make my list, but it did its job. It did what it went out to do. It was for a bunch of people you weren't supposed to like. It was what it was. But then the show's over, and I'm still like, oh, that song's in my head. Fuck. So in that aspect, because it did its job, and because it does get in my head, and because, not like you need another reason to hate Bully Ray on the TV. And I strictly mean on the TV. I think Bully Ray is phenomenal at his job. But
please, Bully Ray, don't come and beat us up. That's what we're trying to say here. Please. Oh God.
But I think if you're just talking about, listening and response and doing your job, what you're supposed to do, that theme did what it was supposed to do.
I think that song proves why Johnny Cash songs need Johnny Cash to sing on them. Okay. Otherwise it's missing something.
Yeah. I guess I put it there because I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on a lot of stable themes in Impact. I thought the Main Event Mafia,
yeah,
again,
not good.
using what they used. I get what they were going for, but
Yeah.
they could have done something much, much better. They you know, it felt like they just stopped. They're like, hey, what if we did something like this? Yeah, let's use it. Just use that. You know, it's like they gave up too quick. Immortal, you just no. There hasn't been a whole lot of great stable themes in Impact. And I think Aces, and that's why I think maybe I thought of Aces and Eights, because it's one of the few decent ones.
That's
you know?
fair. I think that's fair.
So what else am I missing?
I mean, honestly, I think the songs that I've got here that you didn't put were probably down just to personal preference. In fact, I know that's the case, but I thought I'd kind of throw some on there anyway.
Yeah.
And mostly this is just to show some love to songs that I don't think it talked about as actual great tunes, but they really are. And I'm going to start with Madison Rain and Killer Queen. Maybe an unpopular opinion on that one, but there is something about that mix and she's a killer queen.
Yeah.
My apologies to everybody's ears who just had to listen to that. But it's a great tune. And go back, listen to the remix of it. There's something about it that, again, I'll just listen to that in the car. I just think it's a really, really good tune. Yeah, man, it's a fantastic one. If you haven't seen it.
While we're on the women, I didn't write this down, but it just kind of clicked in my head. The Beautiful People had a decent one too, did they not?
Okay, I wasn't a big fan of the high.
I have to go back and remind myself, but
in it,
yeah.
So it kind of got on my nerves. So I guess as a heel, it worked.
yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Scott Hall's The Marvelous Me,
Oh my God.
because it's bad.
Yes.
I know it's bad, but I still like it a lot.
But did it sniff any butts?
It didn't sniff any butts. I mean, look, if you want to hear a good version of the song, just go listen to Those Shoes by the Eagles, and then you'll go, why are the Eagles playing Razor Ramon's theme song? You'll know why.
Oh, shit.
In the same vein of Madison Rain, I think Tennille Dashwood's All About Me is a good tune. And again, not the style of music I really like, but there's just something about the inflection of it that gets stuck in my head. She only was around for a little bit, so we only heard a little bit of the song. I think Kylie Rae's song Ruthless is fantastic. And it's, again, one of these songs that gets stuck in my head, and I actually will clean my house and dance to this song when I am listening to it. It's really poppy, a lot of fun. I was so bummed out when Taya Valkyrie changed her theme song when she came back. Wera Loca is fantastic.
It is fantastic, and I'm glad you brought it up. I wish I remembered to write it down. I fucking love that theme, and it fit her so very well.
Yeah.
However, I will say I was going to bring up, we have to give some love to the Death Bells though, because that song fits that group so well. So she had to go along with that song. She had to. You know what I mean? It only made sense for her to use that song. But as much as it fits, here's the funny thing. I think the Death Bells is an amazing theme, and it fits that stable. But if you're looking at solos, Taya Valkyrie, Flight of the Valkyrie worked way better for her, right? You look at Rosemary, I think the Decay theme song works way better for her. Mm-hmm. But that Death Doll theme song was tailor fucking made for Jessica.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm almost certain
is all for her.
I'm almost certain her brother is the one that sings the song.
Who's her brother?
He's a musician, apparently. I read that her brother did the Death Machine theme for Sammy, which I also love.
Which makes sense because those songs are very similar, right?
Yes.
And I thought about that in the past.
Yeah.
So I just chalked it up to them liking the same kind of music. So, you know, which would make sense. So I just chalked up that. I never thought it was maybe the same artist. That's kind of cool.
And speaking of intimidating and dark songs, I'd like to put a quick shout out to Eric Young's / Violent by Design's theme, Nine Lives.
Why didn't I even think of that? Good call on that. That it wouldn't have made my 7, but I absolutely love it. It's a great theme for that, again, for that stable. The Impact's really been hitting themes in general for the last, let's say, since 2015, 16.
It's a song that gives you a sense of dread when you hear it. Like when it plays, you realize that things are about to get very violent and very, very dangerous very quickly. So it really fit Eric Young perfectly, and that whole maniac character that he had. It was perfect, the perfect pairing of wrestler and song, as far as I'm concerned.
Let me give love to one last one. So I just thought of it now because I thought of the year 2016, and that was the year I kind of started. Well, it was a little bit before that, but it was around the time I'm starting to watch again. And there was a theme song that at the time I think I hated, but it did its job very well. And I don't think I appreciated the theme song enough at the time, just like I don't think enough people appreciated the gimmick enough at the time. And I'm going to go to Matt Hardy's, what's it called? Delete theme music when Rebby would come out and play the piano. And, I again, it's not making a list for me, but it really did the job for Matt Hardy, for getting that gimmick over, for helping him make that gimmick as weird as fucking possible. Coming out to a catchy fucking, dance along theme song wouldn't have worked for Matt, right? So yeah, you like that?
I was about to say, could you do that move again for me? That's up there with the safety dance as like one of the all-time great Canadian moves.
Right. I do the safety
and
dance.
If you're listening to this right now and you don't go over and watch the YouTube version, trust me, just do it just for that dance alone.
This is a side story. If we're going to talk about doing great dances, my son and I right now are watching. We're binge watching the old 1986, I want to say, Super Mario Super Show with Lou Albano.
Phenomenal.
Okay, and anybody who knows that show knows that it ends every week with Lou Albano saying, "Okay, do the Mario," and then he teaches you how to do the Mario.
Correct.
And it's just him. Put your hands from side to side, and that's the fucking dance. Like there's nothing else.
That is not true, sir. I believe the line also includes take one step and then again.
Yes, you're right.
Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario.
My son is not even 5 years old yet. Okay, he has not hit his 5th birthday, and he loves this fucking show. But finally, after like 5-6 episodes, spanned over like 2 weeks, he looks at me and goes, "That's not a real dance."
So matter of fact.
And I'm just like, you watch your fucking mouth. Lou Albano would be rolling in his fucking grave. Oh man. We're having a lot of fun watching. We're going back and watching this show with him right now. But that I had to tell that story just because.
I'm so glad you did.
This has gone off the fucking rails. Do you have any more songs to go before we take her home?
3 serious ones and then an extra one.
Okay.
I really just want to quickly shout out Frankie Kazarian's Deadly Business because I love that song. It's a great metal song. Fits him perfectly. And I think the most underrated theme song in Impact Wrestling today, which is Brian Myers' The Ride by It Lives, It Breathes. It's such a great tune. I will listen to that one on repeat on my playlist. It's just a banger of a song, bop, as the kids would say.
Let me tell you, man, if the song was here longer than it was, it may have snuck on my list, but for a while I couldn't talk about it right now because he's not currently in Impact. But Always Ready was one of my current favorite fucking songs for a while. That song is amazing. Agreed.
It's also on my list of all-time greats in Impact. It's a good tune.
It's a great song, and I like that he's using it everywhere. We saw him in GCW a few weeks ago. He's using it there as well. But it's a great theme, man. So good, and it fits him so very well.
Now, I have one more song that I want to talk about, but I want to bring
right.
it up because it is what I consider a hidden gem. It's a song that hardly anybody knows and hardly anybody's heard because it was used for a cup of coffee. Yeah. But I think it's a great one. And that's Cassidy Riley slash Sorelda. And you may even be listening or looking at me going, I don't even know who those people are. And let me just give you a quick brief rundown. Cassidy Riley was one half of the Hot Shots back in the early days of TNA, where he and Andy Douglas, who went on to be one of the Naturals, had the gimmick of having ginormous penises. Yes, that was their gimmick. Cassidy went on to become
So this is before Ed Ferreira left the company.
Yes. Once he dropped that gimmick, he actually became Raven's lackey. He was the Steven Richards to Raven in Impact before Stevie Richards actually got to Impact. So he was kind of like Raven's protege who would come in and take his bumps and protect him and whatnot. And he had this really, what I thought was kind of a cool little white meat babyface theme song. And then when he left the company and Sorelda, aka Jamie D, came in as AJ Styles and Chris Daniels manager for a month, she was using that song as well. So that is your homework for tonight, listeners. Go and look that song up because I actually think it deserves a lot more love and attention than it actually gets.
I have zero recollection of this song.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw a curveball in there for one that no one probably knows, and hopefully you can discover it and enjoy it. One thing before we go, one last thing I want to ask. We've talked about all of the best songs in Impact Wrestling. Who do you think has the worst theme song in Impact Wrestling history? Because if you can't think of any, I have two contenders, and I'd like to know what you think.
I'm gonna think while you bring up a couple names.
I just have two because they've always stood out for me as these are just bad songs. So we talked about AJ Styles having the best theme song because he does.
Yeah.
But he and Jerry Lynn both got saddled with what might be the worst TNA theme song of all time, which was a song called Born and Raised. And I'm going to tell you the lyrics to this wonderful song. Born and raised in the USA. I was born and raised in the USA. Born and raised in the USA. Born and raised in the USA. Look this up. Lord. It's terrible. It's got this country fiddle kind of thing starting up, and to see metalhead Jerry Lynn walk down the aisle to this, it's something. And speaking of
that song doesn't even need to sniff any butts.
No, because you can smell it from a mile away. Trust me, you don't need to get up close to the butt on that one. But speaking of, or I should say, from metalhead to pothead, the other contender has got to be Rob Van Dam.
Okay, that's the what do you call it? The new church shit. I'm with you on this one.
Cushionator is the name of the band. They also did Sabu's theme, and holy God, we've talked about sound-alikes. This is just a blatant ripoff of either Walk or One of a Kind, whatever Rob Van Dam's theme song is. This was trying to be it, but sucking terrible at it, because literally the lyrics are Rob Van Dam the whole fucking show, and then just a list of his wrestling moves. Just Van Terminator, Van Daminator. It's this is the worst. This is the absolute worst. Here's the thing. Born and Raised is bad in a stupid way, but Rob Van Dam's song by Cushionator makes me want to stab my eardrums with a pencil. It is awful. It is so bad. So I don't know, but I would like to pose it to your listeners and your viewers to ask, what do you think is the worst Impact Wrestling theme? Is it Cushionator's Rob Van Dam theme, or is it Born and Raised? You guys have got to find them and then let us know.
I think I'm going to give it, even though I love this theme, I'm going to give it the Triple X.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, the horns didn't get you.
It's such a listen. We talked about what it takes to get a sound alike over, and they really didn't do it here. All the ones I can think of are probably sound alikes, and that's probably my problem because another one I think of right away is Shane Douglas.
Yeah, his was pretty bad.
And I want to say Raven, but I'm probably just saying that.
No, I liked Ravens.
It wasn't as good as some of his other themes.
I liked Ravens. I liked Ravens TNA theme better than his WCW one, which was essentially just another sound alike of "Come As You Are." But I thought the impact. Yeah. I thought the TNA one was better, personally. Yeah. But that could be my nostalgia talking.
Well, from the best to the worst, from sniffing butts to just look at me. That's how we're gonna rate theme songs on the show from now on. Just Look at Me is the number 1, and Sniffing Butts is number 7. The funny thing is, I don't hate Billy Gunn's theme song.
No,
but just listen, all you casual fans, all you new fans, all you fans that are just getting into wrestling and maybe haven't even heard that song before. If you're gonna listen to the Mr. S theme song, just don't listen to the lyrics. That's all you have to do. Don't listen to all the things that Billy Gunn likes to do to the posterior region. Don't do that, because he likes to pick them and he likes to sniff them, and you don't need to know much more about that than fucking off the rails. With that said, on behalf of my apologies for not having AJ Styles on my list at all, I apologize to this is the 2020 Canada Day show all over again. I'm in trouble again. I'm going to get yelled at.
And I'll never be invited back again. Like, how dare you bring up Born and Raised in the USA on this show?
Pay attention to the comments below, no matter where you're listening to, because I'm going to fit in links to all the songs that we talked about here today, as well as I'm going to fit in the links to Rock Solid Wrestling, which Adam talked about earlier today. If you want to get your tickets to that big Collingwood show, that's going to be right under there. Go check that out. Until then, man, thank you once again for being on the show. It's always a fucking pleasure having you on here. I'm sure it won't be long till we get you on again. And on a personal note, I had a great time in Windsor. I hope to see you again soon, not on the other side of my computer screen. Until then, though, my brother, we have been counted out.
Cheers.
Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario, take one step and then again. Let's do the Mario all together now. You got it. It's the Mario. Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario, take one step and then again. Let's do the Mario all together now.